Apple's next iPhone 17e is slated to sport reduced display bezels, while preserving the iPhone 14-based OLED panel used in the 16e, according to a fresh rumor from the elec. Citing supply chain sources, the Korean-language report says BOE will again create most of the panels for the second generation of Apple's cheaper iPhone model, with Samsung Display and LG Display supplying the rest. However, the reports does not imply that the iPhone 17e will contain a dynamic island, as has previously been rumored. In August, Weibo-based leaker Digital Chat Station reported that the iPhone 17e will acquire enhancements, including the dynamic island and the A19 chip. The current iPhone 16e contains a notch at the top of the display, similar to the iPhone 13 and iPhone 14, and an A18 chip. Apple launched the dynamic island on iPhone 14 Pro models. As things stand, thinner bezels are more realistic than promises that the gadget will gain dynamic island. Apple may shrink down the bezels without modifying the display panel itself, since bezel size is mostly dictated by the frame and how closely the screen fits into the chassis. If Apple is reusing the mass-produced OLED panel from the iPhone 14 to keep prices down, it may still freshen the design of the smartphone by adjusting the frame and lowering the border surrounding the display. It's the kind of change that would give a noticeable design boost without adding much to production costs. Dynamic Island, however, is tougher to implement. Apple can't simply add the feature to an older notch-based panel. The pill-shaped kitout requires a modified true-depth camera layout, changed sensor positioning, and improved display masking. Adopting Dynamic Island would mean abandoning several of the components and production efficiencies Apple is apparently aiming to utilize for the 17e. Bringing in new tooling and altered sensor modules would therefore seem to violate the cost-saving strategy that distinguishes Apple's E line. Retaining the notch on the second generation further differentiates the lower-cost cell phone from Apple's premium flagship iPhone 17 variants. Today's study also backs predictions that the iPhone 17e will keep a 6.1-inch OLED display with a 60Hz refresh rate. BOE has not yet been able to successfully make low-temperature polycrystalline oxide panels for iPhone 17 models, but it can produce low-temperature polycrystalline silicon thin-film transistor panels, which the iPhone 16e utilizes. Low-temperature polycrystalline silicon displays can't support the variable refresh rate that iPhone 17 models promise. When Apple introduces a cheap phone, it frequently incorporates the latest processor in it, so it's commonly assumed that the iPhone 17e would feature the same chipset as the iPhone 17 introduced in September. That's the Apple A19, which has good GPU performance, useful for AI workloads, for instance. In other words, if the iPhone 17e is the same price as the 16e, then buyers will be able to get the latest iPhone processing capability for far less money than previously. It now seems that the consensus of reports has lighted on the addition of the dynamic island in the iPhone 17e. It's not on the iPhone 16e. The Dynamic Island is a creative and versatile software device that works with a kitout that's smaller than the one on the iPhone 16e. It's also thought that the groundbreaking front-facing camera from the iPhone 17 series, called Center Stage, will come to the iPhone 17e. This features a square sensor, so you can rotate the image the camera views without moving the phone, which allows for better results for a landscape-oriented selfie, for instance. Finally, 9to5Mac says that the iPhone 17e may have one more upgrade, a display with reduced bezels. It's not clear if this implies the display size will be raised in the same size shell, or if the narrower bezels will make for the same size display in a smaller case. More news as it appears. iPhone 17e could get a huge improvement in terms of the selfie camera, with the entry-level iPhone expected to acquire the same 18 megapixels, center stage front-facing sensor seen on other members of the iPhone 17 series. However, the phone could still continue to come with a single camera sensor on the back. Meanwhile, Apple has been projected to offer a lot of updates to its product selection next year. The tech giant will likely unveil its first ever foldable phone in September next year, but the normal iPhone 17 could be deferred to 2027, and the iPhone Air 2 is not expected to debut in 2026 either. The iPhone 16e launched earlier in the year with the A18 CPU, and its replacement is believed to come with the strong A19 processor that we saw in the iPhone 17. The upgraded cell key, paired with 8 gigs of RAM, is intended to allow the iPhone 17e to execute the Apple Intelligence capabilities on the phone without problems. Meanwhile, Apple might once again dump Qualcomm and utilize its own bespoke C1 cellular modem. The phone is also expected to come with a custom-developed N1 wireless processor, which might offer support for Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6.0 in the future iPhone. With Apple's iPhone 17 series now debuted, the Cupertino-headquartered tech company is now thought to be working on introducing the latest iteration in its flagship lineup next year. The iPhone 17e is believed to be debuting early next year alongside the 12th generation iPad and a new MacBook. While Apple has continued to stay silent about its plans for the upcoming iPhone, leaks have shown practically everything one would expect from the new base-level iPhone. The new low-cost iPhone 17 variant is currently anticipated to have 2 design tweaks. Rumors regarding Apple's impending iPhone 17e keep pouring, with the latest stating the low-cost model would contain not 1 but 2 upgrades to its design: a dynamic island and reduced bezels. Yesterday, I wrote an outline of the latest forecasts for the iPhone 17e. One striking design update that's rumored is a dynamic island. The iPhone 16e still features the iconic notch design. But according to a recent claim from the elect, there's a second noticeable design upgrade planned for the front of the gadget. iPhone 17e will supposedly have slimmer bezels than its predecessor. Slimmed bezels, paired with the dynamic island, could lead the iPhone 17e to fit in comfortably among the most recent iPhone models. Last year's iPhone 16e contained a lot of modern technology, but its look was clearly archaic compared to previous iPhone 16 models. But it seems Apple plans to make iPhone 17e blend even better with the rest of the iPhone 17 family. One other interesting tidbit from the elect's claim is that ProMotion capability is not planned for the iPhone 17e. This isn't a surprise, but it's worth noting that ProMotion will be a fundamental differential between iPhone 17e and iPhone 17. The iPhone 17e uses similar display technology, but mixes it with a revised frame that gives the gadget a more modern look. The reduced bezels are the most noticeable upgrade, although Apple preserves the notch, the low-temperature polycrystalline silicon panel, and the fixed refresh rate. The result is a gadget that marries familiar technology with visible enhancements, neatly fitting into Apple's vision of a budget-friendly iPhone replacement. Are you interested in buying the iPhone 17e? Let us know in the comments. So, that's all we know for now. We'll be sure to keep you updated as soon as we have more information. Thanks for watching.